Yo, what's up with y'all boys and girls, man? Hey, it's Jay Briggs here, continuing to cook up this NBA action. Y'all know what we do here on the Jam Session. We cook up every single game, every single day, man. Smash that like button for your guy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description. And if you rocking with me, rock with me. I got premium plays over at Pickdawgz Premium. There's also a link for that in the description. Solid weekend for us, man. First NBA weekend of the year. It was solid. We could have been a little better, of course. You always have room for improvement, but for the first one of the season, I thought it was a really, really good weekend, man. Let's keep the momentum rolling forward into this week. Let's start this week off with a bang, man. A solid card tonight. I'm glad to be talking hoops with my guys, man. Without further ado, let's make some money tonight. Let's keep the momentum rolling forward, and let's hop right into tonight's NBA action. First game up, man, we got the Brooklyn Nets out on the road facing the Charlotte Hornets. Nets road favorites by a single point in this one. The Nets, man, 0-2 to begin their year. I think they just lost to two teams that they're not better than. The Cavs are better than the Nets right now today. They were competitive in that game, had some chances to win it, fell short in the end at home, 114, 113, pushed in that game. Then they went out on the road and played a Dallas team that's just better than them as well. They did cover in that game, were in it all the way through, but end up losing 125, 120. Now they go out on the road, though, and this time I think they're actually facing a team they're better than, hence why they're favored on the road. It's a short line, though, because the Hornets are not as bad as they have been in years past. The reason being is they're healthy right now. And last year down the stretch, they just were not. They were completely banged up. Everybody was hurt. But right now, everybody's healthy. Hayward, Rozier, LaMelo, Brandon Miller's in the mix. PJ Washington been doing all right. The Hornets are not terrible like they were last year. When healthy, they're decent. They lost their last game at home to a Pistons team. Again, a game they should have been more competitive than they were. I did have the Pistons in that one, but I didn't think they were going to do the Hornets like that. And then they beat the Hawks in their first game, 116-110. This will be their third straight home game. Tough game. I think the line's right where it should be. This is a damn near 50-50 type game. Pick your poison type game. I'm going to side with the Brooklyn Nets, though. I think they get their first win of the season. I can see Mikal Bridges having a nice game. I've really liked what I've seen from Cam Thomas. He's just a natural-born scorer. They need to let him, get a little more active. I think he's probably their best scorer over there in Brooklyn. I think they go on the road and take care of Charlotte in this one. They are the better team. This should be a spot where they finally get their first dub of the season. Give me the Nets. I'm going to lay the one out on the road. Next game up, man, we got your Chicago Bulls out on the road facing the Indiana Pacers. Pacers laying 3.5 here in this one. Pacers, man, that's how you start your season. 2-0 and 2-0 against the number. They took the Washington Wizards behind the shed in their first game of the season, 143-120. Run and gun them boys, man, and just ran them out the gym. And then Cleveland, they kind of did the same thing with them boys on the road. And now when they started the game off really slow against Cleveland and then got their legs up underneath them, kind of like the second quarter, and you could see that they were the better team that night. Ended up winning by 12. I think they're the better team in this one tonight as well. Zach LaVine, game time decision, probably won't play. We've seen the Bulls 3 games this year, and in all 3 games I have not liked what I've seen, even in their win. That was pure luck, in all honesty, and I had them that game. First game of the year at the crib, they got took behind the shed by the Oklahoma City Thunder buddies. I mean, it wasn't even competitive. Their next game, they got lucky that Toronto got in foul trouble. They were down like 15 with like 4 minutes to go and just found a way back in it. And even then, they had chances to win that in regulation. Were missing free throws, and it took a game winner from Caruso of all people, Caruso in the corner. And then their last game out on the road, man, they got took behind the shed again. A 16-point loss to the Pistons. I haven't liked what I've seen from the Bulls, man. I just haven't. 0-3 against the number. They have not been a money-making team thus far this season. Would I be surprised if the Bulls hoop tonight? No, I wouldn't. But would I be trying to catch a falling knife with the Chicago Bulls? No, I wouldn't either. I'm taking the Indiana Pacers. I think they're the better team, playing the better basketball. I think they run and gun these boys like they did the Wizards, like they did the Cavs. They're at home tonight. I understand why the line's where it's at. Give me Indiana. I'm going to lay the points here in this. Next game up, man, we got the Boston Celtics out on the road facing the Washington Wizards. Celtics laying a huge number on the road, man, laying double digits, laying 10. Celtics 2-0 this year, straight up 0-2 against the number. Failed to cover at home against the Heat in their last one, had opportunities to do so. Just couldn't quite get over the big number they were laying there. And then 108, 104 against the Knicks. Had a chance to cover there on the road. The Knicks kind of made it a game in the end, covered the point spread. So laying a huge number like this with the Celtics makes me a little nervous. Of course, the Celtics are definitely the better team. I think the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I'm somebody who's higher on the Wizards than most. I think they will compete this year. I think they are going to be either the 8th seed or, right there in that play-in conversation. I know they played well in their last home game against Memphis, 113-106, beat them boys, a decent win, but in hindsight, y'all know I'm not high on Memphis, so first game they played, they got took behind the shed by the Pacers, 143-120. This is how I see this game playing out tonight. And this is how I see most of Wizards games playing out. If their shots are falling, they're going to compete. If they're not, they're going to get ran out the gym. Just the shot selection they take and, are their guys hot in that moment is basically what comes down to the Wizards, man. I think they're a volume shooting team, and I think that is really bad going up against a solid defensive team in the Celtics. I think we see the Celtics defense step up tonight, man. I think they create some real problems for Poole, Kuzma, and company. I think the Celtics get a win and their first cover of the year. Laying double digits on the road is usually a terrible place to be, but I understand why it's at. And if the Celtics defense comes to play, they should win this game very comfortably. I would lay the points with Boston here in this one tonight. Next game up, man, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves out on the road facing the Atlanta Hawks. Timberwolves favored on the road in this one. They're laying 2.5. I understand why this line is where it's at. Here's why. I know we just saw Atlanta go into Milwaukee yesterday and beat them up. Took them boys behind the shed, 127-110. I was thoroughly surprised to see that happen. We had the Hawks plus the points in that game, but no way did I think they would win as dominantly as they did yesterday. But off that win yesterday, oh, you know what I look to do. I look to fade these boys. Huge win for them yesterday. Huge letdown spot today. And the numbers actually back it up. Terrible spot back-to-back for the Atlanta Hawks with travel. I went back and looked. With no rest last year, the Hawks were terrible. The Hawks last season as a home underdog, terrible. The Hawks last year with their rest disadvantage, terrible. The Minnesota Timberwolves as a road favorite, money. The Minnesota Timberwolves last year with the rest advantage, money. I think this just sets up as a spot that the Timberwolves get this one done. So I'm not overcomplicating this one. The actual basketball game, I think that the T-Wolves match up really well with the Hawks. We've seen the Hawks have some bad shooting outings to begin the season against Charlotte to begin the year and then really shot bad again against the Knicks. They looked better last night. I'll give them credit for that. But back-to-back with travel, all the numbers saying take the T-Wolves. I'm not overcomplicating this one. I think the T-Wolves are the better team straight up anyway. Anthony Edwards, I look for him to have a nice game. I look for Rudy Gobert to have a decent game against Clint Capella down low. T-Wolves, stacked wins. They get back-to-back wins. I'm going to lay the wood with them here on the road. Next game up, man, we got the Portland Trail Blazers out on the road facing the Toronto Raptors. Raptors laying a big number at the crib, man, laying 7.5. I do understand how they got there with this number, though. The Blazers are the worst team in the NBA. I said it. They are currently, right now, today, the worst team in the NBA. 0-3, straight up 0-3 against the number. And this is also a terrible spot for the Blazers. And I mean terrible spot. Here's why. They're on the back end of a back-to-back. They got their doors blown off last night by the Sixers. Now they have to leave Philly, travel to Toronto, and I feel like they're just traveling there to get their doors blown off again. Here's why, man. The Raptors, last season, 25-16-1 against the spread at the crib. That was second best in the NBA. We know the Raptors tend to play their best basketball at home behind their home crowd. They got one of the best home venues in the NBA. They got a whole country behind them. So that place usually is going bonkers. The Blazers, again, one of the worst teams in the NBA. I am not trying to catch a falling knife with them. This should be a spot where the Raptors beat up on a bad team. We saw them do it a ton last year. This should be a spot where they do it again. I'm not that high on the Raptors. I'm not in the grand scheme of things. I think this is one of the worst Raptors team in recent memory. But they still got some pieces. You know, they still got some guys, Siakam, Anunoby, Scotty Barnes. That should be enough in this one to beat up on a bad Blazers team in a terrible spot. So, Raptors land the points at home where they usually play their best basketball for me here in this one. Next game up, man, we got my favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks, out on the road facing the Memphis Grizzlies. Dallas laying 2.5 here in this one. I'm going to be honest, this game makes me really, really nervous. Here's why. I do think Dallas is the better team, and they're playing the better basketball, and I do lean in their direction laying the points. The reason I'm nervous is because you guys know we lost a ton of money betting the Mavs last year. We lost more money betting the Mavs last year than any other team, and it really wasn't even close. The Mavs were the absolute worst cover team in the NBA last year. 30, 49, and 3 were the Mavs full season against the spread. That's 38% league worst. They were terrible against the number this year. The thing is I've liked what I've seen from them to begin this season, you know. I love the addition of Grant Williams, a vocal leader, a guy who fits right in here in this locker room. And the addition of Derek Lively almost makes up in my mind for missing the playoffs last year. I really love the addition of this big man. I think he's going to be a key piece of this Mavs team for years to come. I think he fits really in well with the two guards he plays with, Luka and Kyrie. I think the Mavs are playing the better basketball, and I think they are the better team. I've told y'all countless times I don't like this Grizzlies team. I think they are not going to make the postseason. I think missing a top 5 guard in the NBA is something not easily overcomable. And many people thought it just was because they've had enough data saying that it is. But as I continue to say, most of that was in the middle of the season where they were missing Ja, where the culture was already set. This Grizzlies team beats off the beat of Ja Morant. I like Desmond Bane. I like Jaren Jackson. I like Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose and company. But this is just not a good team right now. They're not playing good basketball. The 2 games we've seen them at home already, failed to cover in both against New Orleans. Oh, no, they did cover against Denver, but they lost 108-104. Then they lost out on the road to Washington. I have not liked what I've seen from Memphis. Until they wake up and show me that they're going to hoop, I intend to fade them. Laying points with the Mavs on the road is a dangerous place to be, but they are playing the better basketball. I know Memphis, historically, in the last few seasons, has played extremely great basketball at the crib, at home, but they're not playing good basketball currently right now. I think the Mavs are just the better team, playing the better basketball. I think they go into Memphis and get a dub. I'm going to lay the points here with my favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks. Next game up, man, we got the Miami Heat out on the road facing the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks laying 5 at the crib here in this one. We just saw the Bucks play last night. I'm here to tell you it was not pretty, man. They got their doors blown off, man. At home, 127-110, a 17-point loss at the crib for Milwaukee. That usually does not happen. I had the Hawks plus the points in that game yesterday, and I was thoroughly surprised to see them dominate Milwaukee in the fashion that they did it. Now, y'all know I usually hate back-to-backs. I hate them. Teams do not hoop in back-to-backs more often than not. But I think this one's a little different. I know we just saw them get their doors blown off, and they have not covered for us yet this season. But I'm going right back to them, man. I'm taking the Bucks. I'm laying the 5. Here's my thought process. Embarrassing loss at home yesterday. They're at home again tonight, and they need a bounce-back game. And no perfect bounce-back game than the team that put you out of the postseason last year. I haven't heard enough talk about Milwaukee losing as a number 1 seed last year. I haven't heard enough talk about that. I'm a Mavericks fan, and trust and believe every time somebody gets the chance, they love to bring up how the Mavs were a number 1 seed and lost to the We Believe Golden State Warriors. They love to bring that up. Can somebody continuously bring up how Milwaukee lost as a 1 seed to the Miami Heat last year? That is disgusting. They should not have done that. And I think they're well aware of that, and I think they were actually kind of looking ahead to this game yesterday. I think they show up, show out, and beat up on the Miami Heat today. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Now, Miami, on the other hand, these are the games that they usually get up for. I would not be surprised if Miami got up for this game if Jimmy Butler had a career game like he usually always seems to do against the Milwaukee Bucks. But I'm personally taking Milwaukee in this one. I look to continue to fade Miami, a team that goes through the motions in the regular season. This should be a bounce back spot for Milwaukee. This should be a revenge spot for Milwaukee. Milwaukee usually plays its best basketball at the crib. I know they got their doors blown off yesterday, but I think it's a short turnaround bounce back. I'm taking Milwaukee. I'm going to lay the points in a revenge spot at the crib. Here in this. Next game up, man, we got the Golden State Warriors out on the road facing the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans home favorites, laying 3.5 at the crib. Short, sweet, simple in this one. I'm taking the Pelicans. I'm laying the points. Here's why. The Warriors last season on the road, man, they had won 12 games and lost 35. I know to begin this year they're 2-0 and 2-0 against the number on the road. That's kind of crazy, right? But they're on a back end of a back-to-back tonight. They played in Houston last night. Was going through the motions for, 3 of those 4 quarters. It took Curry, heating up late in that game, which, he could do at any point. But he heated up late in that game, hit 4 straight threes, got them to win and cover. But on a back end of a back-to-back, on the road, going up against a good team. Last night they weren't playing a good team. The Rockets are not a good team. The Pelicans are a good team. The Pelicans are healthy, and that's the main point. Last season, when the Pelicans were healthy, they were one of the best teams in the NBA. I think they're a little undervalued here to begin the season. They still got that same stigma on them. I think they beat up on the Warriors here in this one tonight. I'm not overcomplicating this one. I'm taking New Orleans. I'm laying the points. The Warriors, last season, 12-35 straight up on the road. 12-35. They lost 35 games on the road last year. Only won 12. I think this is a terrible spot for them on the back end of a back-to-back as well, a road back-to-back at that. Yes, they got a win and cover last night. Shout out Curry, man. He got busy late in that fourth quarter. But 2 games is still not enough for me to throw out the database. I still intend to fade the Warriors out on the road. I'm doing so again tonight. I'm taking the Pelicans, who I've liked what I've seen from them thus far this year. I'm laying the points with them at home. Next game up, man, we got a battle of 2 of our favorite money-making teams, man. We got the Pistons out on the road facing the Oklahoma City Thunder Buddies. Thunder Buddies laying 6 here in this one. And for the first time this year, I'm going to have to fade the Thunder Buddies. I got to grab the points in this one with the Detroit Pistons. I did not like what I saw from the Thunder Buddies yesterday. Granted, I understand there's levels to this shit, man. They played the defending champs, the Denver Chicken Nuggets. The Nuggets, however, though, they don't play their best basketball on the road. They play it at home. They were 50-50 on the road last year, 25-25 straight up. And no way did I think that they were going to dominate the Thunder the way they did. But the reason they did is because Jokic is still the best player in the NBA. And he loves to mismatch hunt, and he mismatch hunted Holmgren yesterday. Holmgren got to get a little bigger, man. I think he will be okay in the grand scheme of things, but when he goes up against the top-tier bigs in the league, Jokic, Embiid, Sabonis, them big dudes, he's going to struggle. And we saw that happen last night. Now, the Pistons have a big dude down low as well. They got 2, Bagley and Stewart. They're not nearly as skilled as the other guys I named, but I do think they can kind of still create some problems for Chet down low, and I think that creates some problems for the Thunder overall in this game. I'm taking the Pistons in this one plus the points, man. The Pistons have been one of our money-making teams thus far this year, 3-0 against the number, and I think they go in here and compete again. Are the Thunder right now today the better team? Yes, but are they 6 points better? I don't think so. I just don't. Again, I think the Pistons have some matchups they can exploit. I love what I've seen from Cade Cunningham and company. I also really have liked what I've seen from Monty Williams and the culture change here in Detroit. We're going to make a ton of money on Detroit all season. And earlier in the year, I told you we're going to lose some of that value that we had last year on the Thunder. And this is one of the spots where I mean that. They're laying a big boy number here in 6. Not saying that they don't cover it. Not saying that they can't cover it, but I'm saying that they don't cover it tonight against one of our favorite money-making teams, the Pistons, getting a bundle of points. The Pistons have been really good this year. Competed with Miami out on the road. Lost by 1. Had a chance to win. Beat up on the Charlotte Hornets out on the road, dominating win, and then took the Chicago Bulls behind the shed at home. I've loved what I've seen from the Pistons. I think that momentum carries over into this one. I think we're looking at a really competitive, tight game, wire to wire, and I'd much rather have the points in my back pocket. Fading the Thunder Buddies for the first time this year. It's a bad spot for them, though, on a back end of a back-to-back. Give me the Pistons plus the points. here in this one tonight. Next game up, man, we got the Utah Jazz out on the road facing the Denver Chicken Nuggets. Denver laying 8 at the crib, and y'all know what it is, man. The Nuggets go stupid, dummy, crazy at home, man. We always love betting the Nuggets at home, and we're not going to overcomplicate this one. We're going to take them here in this one as well. It's a tough spot. You know, it's not my favorite play on the board. Here's why. The Nuggets are on the back end of a back-to-back. They played yesterday on the road in Oklahoma City, so I had to fly from Oklahoma City back to Denver. They did dominate Oklahoma City yesterday, though, 128-95. We know how well they play at home, have a real home court advantage up there in the elevation. The thing is when you go back and look at last year's numbers, the Jazz were really good on the road. They were. The Jazz were the second best ATS road team in the league. Surprising. They covered in 65% of their road games last year. 26-14-1 were the Utah Jazz against the number on the road last year. The problem with the Jazz and that number is we've seen them on the road once this season. That was their last game they played, and they got their doors blown off by a solid home team in the Phoenix Suns, 126-104. I like the Jazz, but I cannot bet them here. We're on the Nuggets. We're taking the Nuggets at home where they go stupid, dummy, crazy, man. I'm laying the points with the Nuggets at the crib. When you go and look at the numbers home, ATS numbers, they're not even as good as they should be. Last year, to begin the season, man, the Nuggets were dominant at home. I'm talking about dominant. But as the season went on, they had the number 1 seed locked up in the West for a good amount of time. So there was no reason for them to go out there and blow teams out on the nightly at home. So their numbers started to become a little skewed. But when they have the motivation, when they have a reason to, they usually beat up on bad teams in Denver. I think that's what we have here tonight. Would I be surprised if the Jazz covered? No, I wouldn't. But would I want to bet the Jazz in this spot? No, I wouldn't. I would much rather be on stupid, dummy, crazy, the Denver Nuggets at the crib. I know they're on a back-to-back, not the best spot, but they're still the better team. They should still win this game comfortably. I'm going to lay the points here in this one. Next game up, man, we got the Orlando Magic out on the road facing the Lake Show, the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers at the crib, laying 2. Lakers on a back end of a back-to-back. We saw them play last night. Came up just short on the road in Sacramento. The game went to overtime. They failed to cover as well. Lost the game 132-127. On a back end of a back-to-back, man, this is a bad spot for the Lakers. It is. An older team. Had to travel back home. I get it from Sacramento, not the worst travel, but still had to travel back home. And then they have to play a team that has the rest advantage in the Orlando Magic, a young team at that, a team that has fresh legs. It's a bad, bad, bad spot for the Lakers, man. It really is. I like the Magic. We've made money on the Magic in both games this year. You know, they beat the Rockets and they beat the Blazers. But what do those two teams have in common? Those are arguably two of the worst teams in the NBA. I'm high on the Magic. I think the Magic are going to make the postseason in the East. Like, they're going to be a 6 or 7 seed firmly in the East this year. The thing is the two teams they faced, although they did win comfortably, blew the doors off of Houston and, won it comfortably against the Portland Trail Blazers. The thing is those are both bad teams. The Lakers are not that. I'm going to take the Lakers. I know it's a terrible spot for them, back-to-back, older team going up against a young team. But I think the Lakers understand how dire it is to get off to a good start this year. They got off to a bad start last season, and it really hampered things towards the end. If they can just be in the thick of things this year, stay in the middle of the pack, I think they'll be just fine. But if they're in that play-in type situation like they were last year, they're going to be burnt out when it comes Western Conference Finals like they were last year. Best player in this game, like I always say, the handicap when I look at Lakers games starts with Anthony Davis. The Magic are a pretty big team. They are. They got a lot of big guys, but I still think Anthony Davis is the best player in this game. I think he shows up tonight at the crib. This has to be the games the Lakers take care of to stay relevant in the NBA, to stay right there in the thick of things with the best teams in the Western Conference. Terrible spot, back-to-back, going up against a young team. I understand that, but teams do win in bad spots sometimes. I think this is one of them. I'm taking the Lakers. I'm laying the 2. Here in our last and final game of the night. And that's going to conclude this episode of my NBA Jam Session. I appreciate every last one of y'all watching. Smash that like button for your guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're rocking with me, rock with me. I got premium plays over at Pickdawgz Premium. There's a link in the description. There's also a link in the description for my Twitter. Follow me there, man. Decent card on a Monday. Let's start the week off with a bang. Let's make some money tonight. It's been your guy, Jay Briggs. I'll see y'all soon. I'm out of here. Peace.